Hey, thanks again for joining us for Weekly Word. I hope this has been encouraging to you, and the praise song that will follow from our worship team, I hope that's encouraging to you. Maybe it's something you could share with somebody, a coworker or a family member or a neighbor that might need encouragement in their life as well. Often in life, we find ourselves in what I like to call a low spot. It's a time when we get hit with discouragement, and sometimes it can even lead into a depression in our lives. What does God say to us about those experiences in our life? Well, there is an awesome story recorded in the Old Testament in 1 Kings chapter 19 about this great prophet by the name of Elijah. Elijah was a powerful guy. And I don't mean just powerful in his physical strength and ability. He was powerful in the strength that God had given him. At that time, there were some rulers of the people of Israel, a king and a queen by the name of Ahab and Jezebel. And Ahab and Jezebel had led God's people away from worshiping God and worshiping pagan gods that were referred to as Baal. And so as a result of that, God in his disappointment said, hey, it's not going to rain. There's going to be a drought. I'm going to get your attention by the experience of me showing you that I'm the one that you want to worship. Now, the Bible says that Elijah one day met with King Ahab and he said to him, hey, let's settle this. Let's settle in whose God is real, whether it's the God I serve or the God that you have led the people to serve. And so Elijah challenges, I guess you would say, Ahab to a duel, if you will. He says, you take the 450 prophets of this God, this pagan god Baal, and meet me at this place called Mount Carmel. Elijah was a little bit of a showman because when he gets on Mount Carmel, he prepares and says, let's prepare 2 bulls and 2 altars. And then we will decide, because we'll call upon our God to send down fire to consume the altar and consume the sacrifice. And we'll see whose God is real. And Elijah, being the gentleman that he was, he said, prophets of Baal, why don't you go first? And so they started yelling and crying out to their God and asking him to send fire down, and there's no fire. Well, at that point, at that moment, Elijah exits on a little bit more. In fact, Elijah even says to him, maybe your God is out. Maybe your God is on vacation. In the Living Bible, it even says that Elijah said to them, maybe your God is in the toilet and he can't be disturbed. Well, if you've read the story, you know that after all kinds of effort, that they were unable to call down fire. Then Elijah fills the altar, covers the altar with water, builds a trench around it that fills up with water, and then Elijah calls on his God, and fire falls, and everyone and everything is consumed. You would think after a victory like that Elijah would be on top of the world. But in the very next verse, it says that Ahab and Jezebel, then they threaten Elijah. And Elijah finds himself on the run. A guy that's been up at the top is now running for his life. You know, often we find ourselves in low spots when we go through experiencing great highs. There always seems to be that low. Once we've been on the mountaintop, then all of a sudden we experience the valley. In fact, Elijah finds himself in such a low spot that he says to God, God, I would rather you just take my life now. And God, knowing that and seeing that in Elijah, doesn't send down harsh words to him, doesn't say to him, man, what's wrong with you? Doesn't mistreat Elijah. No, what we see in the story is that Elijah is ministered to by the kindness and the goodness of God. And Elijah finds a place and lays down, and God lets him sleep. Because what Elijah needed most of all was rest. Next week, we're going to continue to talk about what God did for Elijah. The first thing that he did was he didn't speak harshly to him. He understood because he knows what we're made of. And he gave him what he needed. He gave him rest. See you next week as we finish the story of the life of Elijah in a low spot.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me.
Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I'll give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.